Hey guys, in this video we're going over our top 10 RCs for 2022. You know, you guys keep asking what our list is. As of today, this is what it is. Check this out. You know, we've had a pretty good time doing this channel, and you know, it's been a lot more than I expected it to be. You know, everyone that works on the channel, we really appreciate all the feedback we get. So let's get right into this with number 10. Logging in at number 10, one of the newest cars in the paddock. This one is the Associated MT8. Check this out. The MT8 from Associated is a fun car, and you know, when we first got to the MT10, which is the rival in the smaller footprint, I've often said I really wish they made that in a bigger vehicle. Well, here's the 8 scale version, and it is a fantastic rig, and it does share, it's really curious here, it does share a bunch of parts in the front end and the rear end with the Red Cat Kaiju, and they do have modifications for that car to make this one a lot more tough than it is out of the box. It doesn't take a whole lot to do it, and there'll be another video covering that. Holding down number 10, the Associated MT8. Moving on to number 9. This is a fairly new car to the channel as well, and it's one that I was pleasantly surprised about. You know, this is the only 10th scale car in the top 10 for the channel, and it is deservedly so. So, popping in at number 9, this is the Traxxas/Ultimate. Have a look at this. Okay, so there we go with the Traxxas/Ultimate. You know, we have a lot of these short course cars around the place, and I really didn't know what to think about this one. I've got a buddy that's got one of these things, but he doesn't have the Ultimate, and he seems to wrench on his a lot. When I picked this one up here, I was expecting to do the same thing, but we pushed this well beyond what it was designed for, and we still haven't broken anything. We did break some parts, but those were strictly on me. It wasn't the car's fault. That was just driver error. So I don't fault the car for that. It did have problems holding on to the rear tires, and that's just a gluing issue. I think Traxxas could pay a little better attention to how they're doing their gluing on their tires, but other than that, this thing is rock solid. For the price, you know, this is a fairly expensive short course truck, especially for 10th scale. So there is going to take a little bit of a ding on the cost effectiveness, but you do get the link module with the radio. The radio works really well, and the car handles the way you'd expect it to. It's super fast out of the box with no modifications, and it really is deserving of the 9th spot in our selection. So let's get on to the next one. Okay, moving on to number 8. Number 8, I was really excited for this car. I'd heard it was coming out, and I couldn't wait to get one. And you know, coming in late to the game as they were, This particular car is fantastic for what it is. It is relatively expensive. In the 8th position, we've got the Traxxas Sledge. Check this out. Okay, there you go, the Traxxas Sledge in number 8, and you know, this is a really cool truck. It fell short by just a little bit. It's got some really cool features. The way the body comes off is good. You know, I've got some skirts here. These are aftermarket skirts that went on there. Those are pretty nice for the shocks. That's a little add-on that I put on it. We did have to change the servo. The servo went to hell pretty fast on it, and it just wouldn't turn anymore. And of course, every nut and bolt in the machine seemed to come loose all at the same time. Everything on the underside of the chassis, all of the connector points in here for all of your tie rods, everything that has a nylock in it backed off and came loose, and it didn't take too long for that to begin happening. So recommendation on this, if you get one of these, make sure that you Loctite things down good. If it's metal to metal, if it's got a nut on it, get a little Loctite on there to keep things in place. Also, this has the split between the center differential and the motor. There's a split there. It's not a connected thing. Now my understanding is M2C makes a part for that now, or it will be upcoming shortly, but as it stands, this doesn't have that. So this motor was mounted with the same style that they use for the gas engines in these things, and so it's separate from that. What you need to do on this is pull the screws to the motor, check the Loctite, get a little bit more on there, because every screw in this thing, including the motor mounts, began to back out. Now the problem with that was, since there's no lockdown between the motor and the differential, the spacing changed. I heard the gearing change, I stopped immediately. If I'd have kept going, it would have destroyed the center differential, and I've seen a couple of channels have that issue happen on the regular. So this here, rolling in at number 8, the Traxxas Sledge, and I really think it deserves to be here. All right, so let's move on to number 7. You know, this particular category is kind of a multi-car category because each one is about the same as far as that goes. And it's something that's been around the channel for a very long time, and we all love this type of vehicle. Sitting at number 7, the Typhon series from Arrma. And this ranges all the way from the 6S model to the 3S model, to the TLR up on the shelf, to the other 6S with the super thick chassis that we've modified severely. So in the number 7 spot, we're gonna do the Typhon 6S series of cars plus the 3. Check this out. Yes! Yes! Okay, so there we go with the Typhon series from Arrma. These are holding down number 7 location in our list, and it is well deserved. These are amazing vehicles, and they have some pretty cool upgrades you can put on them. Most of these are stock. just because it seems to hold up pretty well like that. We did change out the chassis. This one has a TLR on it. This one here has a bulletproof chassis on it. And of course the TLR is all stock, and it even has the stock running gear in it. So having the same 2050 motor, the same speed control, BLX 185, and a standard servo in these things, they are amazing to play with. They're super fast, they fly good, they're super durable, and they're exceptionally fun to play with. You know, if you're gonna get off the ground in any way, these things are exceptionally stable. And you know, for the price point that these were at when we got them, they're worth the money. They're a very good car, and they're well deserving of the position of number 7. Now it's time to get on to number 6. And number 6 has been around a good long time, and we've done some special modifications to this one because some of the other cars in this particular class have been modified and made to look good. In the number 6 position, we have the Italian XL. Check this out. All right, so there's the running footage for the Italian XL, and I'm aware this is not a stock vehicle. We do have the standard Italian, we have the Italian EXB, but this is a special one. It's got the Mojave chassis, it's got the Mojave drive system in it, and it is all stock as far as the running gear goes. It still has the 2050 motor, and it has the 185 speed control in it. So other than that, it does have a few fancy modifications that I really am proud of. We used most of the EXB stuff because it does have the EXB Mojave chassis on it. It does have the HR top rod ends on it, and it has the EXB shock towers, and it has the EXB shock ends all the way around, and it has a T-Bone Racing rear wheelie bar matched up with the EXB Creighton front bumper. It makes it a really tough vehicle. We put some extensions on here to connect the standard body so any body from the Italian series will fit it. And right now it has the Outcast tires and wheels on it. These are a little bit aggressive. I really like the Fireteam tires better, and when we take it out, generally that's what we run on it. So holding down number 6 in our count, the Italian XL. Now we've reached the top 5, and the top 5 is a pretty good selection here. We've got a pretty good variety of cars at the channel here to choose from, and the top 5 are, and keep in mind guys, that when we go to choose our cars, if we're gonna take 5 cars, it's gonna be the top 5 unless we need a specialized vehicle to go out and play. So the top 5 is where everything starts to get interesting. So landing in the number 5th spot for the channel, the Creighton EXB 6S. Check this out.
Nice! Nice.
So there you go, that's the footage for the Creighton EXB6S, and this thing is a monster. But right out of the box, this had issues like most of these early ones did. And what it is we wound up changing the arms because the arms allowed the drive shafts in the front to pop out on basic impacts. We even had the same problem on the Italian EXB, and the Mojaves did it as well. So swapping these over to the RPM arms on the front made all the difference. We don't lose drive lines anymore. It still has the stock wheels and tires on it. It does have on the back here RPM arms as well. And I've heard people tell me that the shock towers are a different size and it changes the way everything works in the rear. It sits just a smidge lower and all that stuff. You know, I've run this in both directions, one with the wide shock tower, one with this one. I haven't really been able to notice a difference. This thing handles awesome the way it is. I have no problems with it running this way with those arms on it. There's a couple items you need to change to get those arms to work on the back. One of them is the sway bar, that's important. And of course, the rods that go through the shock ends, those are too long on the version 5 or the EXB arms, so you need the version 4 pins to do that. That's pretty straightforward and simple. Everything else on it, the chassis, I love this bumper. This is an awesome bumper. This is stock, comes with it. There's not a lot of changes in this vehicle, and it is laid out like all of the basic 6S cars we have here. It's got the 2050 motor, it's got the 185 BLX speed control, and a 25 kilogram servo that allows everything some pretty nimble control. So everything in the car is good at the moment. It has Italian wing on it, but we do have the original wing for it. I just like the look of that a little better. And this thing flies really well. It's durable, it holds up good. And with the EXB shock ends on it, we haven't lost a shock end yet. That's part of the reason this lands at number 5. That brings us straight up to number 4. In our 4th position, we've got a pretty good sized vehicle, and this one comes from Losi. Losi makes some pretty good stuff, and if you've watched the channel, you know that's what I used to race all the time. I love Losi's cars. They handle well, they're usually pretty durable, and they hold up pretty good for what we put them through. This one here, sitting in the number 4 spot, is the DBXLE 2.0 from Losi. Check this out.
Oh, whoa! Dude! Oh my God. Whoa.
So there you go, that's the running footage for the Wesky DBXLE 2.0. This 5th scale monster is an 8S behemoth, and this is a very cool car. To see it on the bench really doesn't do it justice because this thing is enormous. I'm 6.5 feet tall, and this makes me look small. Now the thing about this one is it weighs in roughly 30 pounds with the batteries in it, and that's a lot of weight to throw around. And the impressive part is watching this thing accelerate under 8S conditions on flat ground. This thing is so much fun to drive. However, with this kind of weight comes great responsibility. These travel at 45 miles an hour, give or take, depending on how you have it geared. And that means they accelerate fast, they don't necessarily stop fast, and you can do a lot of damage with a car this size. So having a car of this magnitude really does take a certain amount of responsibility. This one in particular, we've upgraded the center braces on it to aluminum. They needed to be done there. We have replaced the wing because we shattered that on impact, but the only other real change we've made is we changed the wheels and tires, and we put a heavier servo in it because during one of our test runs for the channel, we absolutely destroyed the stock one. It was working up until impact, and if you watch the channel, you saw us do that on purpose, just to show you how these things are rebuilt on the front end. So there you go, in the number 4 spot, the Wesky DBXLE 2.0. Okay, so before we go any further, we want an honorable mention for these 3 vehicles here. Coming in at number 11 is the Arma Fire Team. This is 7th scale, and it is a fun car to play with. It's pretty stable. It does have its flaws, and we've got videos out showing how to repair that. Running in at number 12 is the Traxxas UDR. This is a scale model, and it's large as well. It's a good vehicle to play with. It's fun. It's not as stable as I would like it to be, but for a scale model, it handles really well. And then of course, coming in at number 13, we've got the Traxxas Max. And this one here is the version 1 with the Wide Max kit on it. And that makes it a really durable vehicle. This one here is a 4S car, and these 2 are 6S capable. These 3, I just believe they needed to be in the count. All right, that being said, it's time to get into our top 3. Coming in 3rd position for the studio, we have the Traxxas X-Max. This is a very large vehicle. It's a lot of fun to play with. Check this out. There you go, that's the footage for the X-Max, and this vehicle here is definitely one of our favorites here around the channel. You know, we got this one more than a year ago, and we've played with this one a lot. We've actually bought others for the channel, and this is one machine that is loved world around. This is a giant truck that handles most situations. It does just about everything. This is an 8S vehicle. It still has the stock servo in it. It still has the stock motor, but we did put a Max 6 in it for control. We also swapped out the radio and put a Spectrum system in it. So connecting this one to the DX5C gave it a lot of controls. We don't have to put the link module into it to try and get everything to work. We just simply swap stuff over and it works great. We did do some modifications to this one. It does have the RPM arms on it. It's got the aluminum out carriers, but it's got the RPM out drive hubs all the way around with the locking hinge pins. We've had to rebuild the steering rack once, but that's a small thing because we did put the aluminum connecting rods for the steering linkages in there to make everything work well. We've been unable to break the wheelie bar, and we've tried. This is one tough truck, and it definitely deserves top 3. All right, so we finally reached the top 2. In the second position for the channel, we have a vehicle here that is large by most standards, and it's a lot of fun. I got this one because I was curious to see how this was, what kind of vehicle it was, and I was pleasantly surprised. It quickly rose through the ranks within the channel to land in the number 2 spot. Sitting at number 2, the ARRMA Mojave EXB. Check this out. There you go, that's the footage for the EXB Mojave, and this vehicle right here is an absolute tank. This rig, it runs like a guided missile. It's super fast, straight out of the box. We put basically stock running gear in it. It's got the same gearing. It does have a slightly hotter motor, but not by much. It's instead of being a 2050, this has a 2100 in it, and it runs out really good. This is a stable vehicle. It corners good, and it's impressive to see when it turns corners. This was surprising by all counts. We've tortured this truck, and it holds up very nicely. As fast as it is, we've been unable to break any of the arms. We had very little problems with the running gear. It does have a 25 kilogram servo in it. It's got the, I believe it's the Spectrum 150 ESC in it, and of course the 2100 motor. This vehicle is staggering when you get it out and play with it. Definitely deserving of the number 2 position, the ARRMA Mojave EXB. All right, so you know what that means. We are down to the number 1 spot for the channel. And this car that we have here is an amazing vehicle. And this one is the Creighton 8S version 2 from ARRMA. Sitting in the number 1 position, this 8S capable vehicle is an absolute behemoth. Check this out.
Oh, yeah!
Okay guys, there you go, the running footage for the Creighton 8S. This thing is an absolute behemoth. It's got great big tires. It comes in at 5th scale. It's 8S capable, and it has the stock running gear in it. However, we did modify this one, and we put the EXB chassis and braces and all that good stuff in it. And this is now a very tough truck. We've had a couple of small incidents with it where these brackets right here that hold the top arms, we've had one of those compress. These have a tendency to do that when they screw into plastic, but everything else on this vehicle is amazing. This thing handles really good, it jumps really well, it's faster than the X-Max and definitely more stable, but this is built in a different style. The X-Max sits tall, it's a full-on monster truck with a high center of gravity and all that stuff, which allows it to run on its sides. This one, on the other hand, is built more for performance, and it shows when you run it. Still, this is a very large vehicle, and it does require a certain level of responsibility to run such a heavy rig. This one is capable of more than 45 miles an hour if you gear it properly. People like to change all the components inside and make them go super fast. With the stock gearing, it has no problems holding onto the tires. Love these tires. These handle really well. Track, nature, doesn't seem to make much of a difference. And when you get it on the ramp, this thing is stunning. Sitting at our #1 spot for AJJAMStudios, guys, it's the Creighton 8S from Arrma. So if you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. It's awesome when you do. And don't forget that notification bell to stay informed of upcoming videos like this one. You know, these top 10 videos come around once a year, and we really enjoy doing these things. You know, this is the way these cars stack up for us. If you guys think they should be in a different order, or you have other cars that you believe should be in this list, please feel free to leave it in the comments down below and share with others along the way. Hey guys, for AJJAMStudios, I'm AJ saying, keep bashing, guys.